I just want to remind you that everything you do matters. What you do, when you do, how you do it, not because in and of itself it's such a big deal, but because it affects everything about how you see yourself, how other people see you, how you think of yourself. And because that's your perception, it affects your perception and it affects other people's perception of you. So no matter how small, don't tell yourself, oh, it doesn't matter. It always matters because it's going to impact other things in your life. If you just don't have the bandwidth to take care of that, then do that. Tell yourself that. Tell yourself, hey, I just can't take care of this in this moment. But don't tell yourself it doesn't matter. Even something as small as cleaning the house is not small, but that's actually a very good example. If you're the kind of person that every time you come home, you just put all your things everywhere, you put your clothes on the floor, you might be thinking to yourself, oh, it's not a big deal. It doesn't really matter. But then in your head, you're reinforcing like that you're a messy person. So it becomes so much work to you to keep your place tidy. Not because it truly doesn't matter anymore, but because you've been doing it for so long, it has become a habit. So now, instead of it to just be like something that's not a big deal, it's part of how you see yourself. It's part of who you are. You can also change that and become the kind of person that is always picking up yourself. So every time you come home, you drop all your stuff and then you'll be like, actually, no, because I don't want to be that kind of person. So then you pick up yourself. That changes your mind. That rewires your mind. And then you become the kind of person that's always clean, that's always picking up after herself. And you become somebody that you feel can do these things and is reliable. And the thing is, when you do get to a point where you've changed this part of your behavior or whatever to something that you want, you actually feel better about yourself because you feel like you're capable of changing things about yourself. So if you were to ever go back into a slump, or if you got to a point where you felt like you wanted to change one or two things about yourself, you will be more likely to feel able to do it, which means you will also be more likely to actually do it. Because that's what the research shows. The more you believe you can do something, the more you're going to be able to do it. The more you believe you can't, the more you're not going to be able to do it. Because a lot of times our behavior is unconscious and it's through our habits, it's through how we think of ourselves. That's how we decide what we're going to do and where we're going to go. A lot of times it's not us actively making that decision. So with cleaning, let's say you have become somebody that never leaves clothes on the floor anymore. And you say, hey, I want to become somebody that is always making her bed. Now, let's say you believe you can do it. So whenever you wake up and you want to leave the room, your brain will remind you, oh, you didn't make the bed. And then that's your chance to reinforce that you are, in fact, somebody that makes the bed, or that you're not the kind of person that makes the bed. Whatever you decide, that's going to push you further in whichever direction. The more you choose to make your bed, the more you're going to think of yourself as somebody that makes the bed. And the more you're going to get into the habit of that. And so you'll just be so used to that that you feel like, this is who I am, this is what I do. So it will get to a point where not making the bed, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I didn't make my bed today. And it will be easily noticeable. Versus if you're like, I'm just not in the mood today. And so you don't do it, guess what? Tomorrow, you're going to be less likely to do it than you were the day before. So if you choose not to do it the next day also, the next day it's going to be even harder for you to do it. Every day that you move in a direction is going to be harder or easier depending on what you say you want. So if you want to be that person that is clean, the more you clean up, the more you're reinforcing to your mind, to yourself, to your brain, to your behavioral patterns that you are in fact this kind of person. And that is how you build a habit. And because most things we do are habits, you will get to a point where you automatically do that. You do that automatically and it's no longer a big deal. So when I want to make changes in my life, this is how I go about it. This is how I make these decisions. Even though sometimes it's really hard in the moment, I just remind myself, hey, if you do it today, it's going to be easier for you to do tomorrow. And you're going to know that this is something you can do. And it's going to be reinforcing your mind that this is the kind of person you are. Versus if you don't do it, not only is it going to be harder because you're not building the habit, in your mind, you're going to start talking down to your goals and saying things like, oh, it's not even a big deal. Why? Because you didn't do it yesterday and nothing happened. I feel like with this nothing happening, it's not about anything happening. It's about building the kind of behavior you want, building the character you want, becoming the kind of person you want to be. If you want to be this kind of person, then you do those things even when it's hard, and eventually it will get easier. And of course, this is something that we all have to deal with, we all have to contend with. If you feel like it is too much for you, then you need to question yourself. Do you really want to do that thing? Do you really want that? Is that really who you want to be? So if you're trying to run, it's too difficult for you, you don't want to run today, then it's time for you to go back to the drawing board and reevaluate. Do I really want to become a runner? Or was I just saying that because I saw all these people running and I was just like thinking that could be me or wishing that could be me? If you're like, I actually do want to become a runner, then that should be extra motivation or an extra push for you to then start running or taking it more seriously, which means doing it more regularly or doing it when you say you're going to do it and actually sticking to it and actually doing it. But if you are like, oh, I actually don't even care to be a runner, then good. You don't have to keep pushing yourself in a direction you don't want to go or you no longer want to go. But it is important to know when you're genuinely like, hey, I actually don't want to do this thing versus when you're just being lazy or being scared. Because if you quit out of being lazy or quit out of being scared, you will never achieve any of the things that you truly want to achieve. Anything that will make you feel satisfied with your life. You won't achieve those things because those things always take work. And it takes work that is difficult to us. And I feel like that's kind of the appeal. That's a huge part of the appeal of why we want to do it. We want to do it because it is something we've never done before. It's something we're not familiar with, or it's something that we used to do and we left behind. Either way, it is something that is different from who we are in the moment. So we want to become that. We want to do that. But then when we start doing it and we see how difficult it is, it makes us rethink, oh, do we want to do it? Do we not? But genuinely, if you can push through and continue doing it, you will become that person and hopefully it is worth it to you. So I just want to come on here and say that because how you see yourself matters a lot because it's gonna determine what you do, what paths you take, what kind of decisions you make. And of course, they say how you do anything is how you do everything. If you do the dishes haphazardly, you might do your work haphazardly. That could lead to you being fired. All these things, they impact each other. They work on each other. So when you become a more mindful, conscious, and conscientious person in one area of your life, that is likely to transfer to other areas of your life too. So oh, I didn't even introduce myself. Hi, I'm Chioma and welcome to Chioma in Bloom. I just wanted to come on here and say that I do like to make these videos to just give us something to think about for a couple days, just so we can see how we can improve our lives and how we can improve our mindset so that we can achieve what we want to and so that we can grow in the ways that we want to. That's all I have to say for today and bye.